Well, there's a couple of things I want to tell you about that are coming, and at this point in time, I'll invite my friend Paul Hillen to come and join me on stage. If you look at the back of the table program, one of the things we've been deliberately doing is looking for ways to help spread this message, and we're focusing on women leaders this fall, including the launch of an executive coaching roundtable service aimed at women leaders who have enterprise responsibility. I know that's many of you here in the room. And so our friend Carolyn at the back of the room is ready to talk to you if you're interested in joining. I heard yesterday that Jennifer Meister, who was our speaker last month, is joining that program. So she invited me to tell you from the stage that she'd love to have several of you enterprising women join her in the Executive Coaching Roundtable. So Carolyn has information about that. I mentioned last month that Cargill had supported some really cool research that we're going to write about. This is my friend Paul Hillen. He's been with us since the very beginning. He and his colleagues are responsible for the fact that Cargill is a presenting sponsor. And we've been talking about taking this conversation about goodness to a whole new level. Would you tell us a little bit about this project?
Sure. I assume I should use this, right, Julie?
Yeah, there you go.
I can't stand still. Many of you have heard who have been to the breakfast before of why Cargill is involved with Good Leadership Breakfast. And as Paul said, we were kind of the founding partner in helping this happen. So I'm going to talk about something a little bit differently today. Many of you who have heard me speak before at this know I'm a little bit skeptical. I tend to be maybe more of a glass half empty guy, and Paul is certainly the glass half full guy. And so he and I have been talking about this whole idea of not just the four cornerstones of goodness that you see behind us, but this idea of, does goodness pay? How do you take goodness and link it to strong business results? And so as we talked about it, we said, you know what, let's dig into this a little bit more. And we approached our good friend, Jerry Miola at SMS Research. Jerry's the CEO of SMS Research. And we started digging into it. And the first thing we did is we looked at, is there anything out there, is anybody talking about this whole idea of linking goodness to stronger business results and the whole idea of, does goodness pay? So with the help of Jerry and her great team, we did a literature search and really said, you know what, nobody's really talking about this. There are a lot of leadership books and a lot of things about giving and good business is, doing good is good business, but not really this linking to goodness pays, and especially to the four cornerstones. So we did the literature search, and then we built a protocol, and we said, you know what, we're going to go out and we're going to talk to about 15 really strong leaders who we believe have lived the cornerstones of goodness and have gotten strong results both as individual leaders as well as for their company. And we started that in the last week. Paul started with Richard Davis of U.S. Bank, who's the CEO, and Jerry and I spent, almost an hour and a half this week with Chris Policinski, who's the CEO of Land O'Lakes, and we're off to a really good start. And we're going to interview about 15 people, as I said, 5 from smaller companies, 5 from medium-sized companies, and then U.S. Bank and Land O'Lakes would kind of fit into that larger company, and we're off and running. That is the qualitative stage. For then that'll lead to, we're going to do a quantitative study, and we're going to get some empirical data that says, is this really linked? Does goodness pay? And so what's all the point of this, right? It's much easier for the listener if I have a point. There are two things that we plan on this resulting in. The first is, and I think Paul may have mentioned this last breakfast, I wasn't able to make it because I was traveling, is that we're in the process of writing a book. Is that we expect to use all of this research, the qualitative and quantitative, to write the book with SMS Research. And it'll all be about how good leaders thrive through the whole idea of the four cornerstones of goodness and how goodness pays. The second thing is that we hope to create a goodness index that can be used both for individuals as well as for companies to say, am I really living these things? And if I have a high goodness index, does it correlate to strong business results? So those are the two things that we hope to come out of this, or that will certainly come out of this, and we certainly hope it'll be a bestseller because, again, through literature research, we don't see a lot of people really linking these concepts. So if you have any great ideas, maybe great leaders, maybe input on folks who you know are good leaders, who you think that maybe we should talk to, or concepts, we're all ears. You can contact either Paul obviously through the Good Leadership website, and I think most of you have his contact information. You can contact me through LinkedIn or paulhillen.net, and we'd be happy to either talk to you or listen to any of your great ideas, because the shared wisdom in this room, I'm sure, can certainly help us. So we are really off to a great start, really excited about it, and you'll hear more probably even in the next 2 breakfasts.
And with Paul and Jerry's encouragement, you've seen a shift. If you've been reading my blog, you've seen a shift. I'm now seeing the purpose of what we're doing through the social media stuff is to really sort out and sort of attract proof statements that goodness pays. And so over the next 18 months or so, every single week, I'm going to be writing about the suggestions that you give us. I got some great ones from the very first blog. One of them, a person that was recommended, is a guy named Mark Miller, who runs an organization called Think IT, or Imagine IT, excuse me. And he's actually going to be one of the speakers that in 2017. We heard about this guy named Charles Antis, who has a roofing company in Orange County, California. His business is thriving largely because his company puts the roofs on every Habitat for Humanity home in Orange County for free. And the suppliers are all sending their business to this guy because, you know what, and he gets all the labor for free, and now he's getting all the equipment for free because it pays. And then finally, one of you sent a message to me about a friend that does not even know that I know this guy. This guy's name is John Noltner. He's a guy that lives in Bloomington, Minnesota. He's been producing a series of books called A Piece of My Mind. He's being very successful by interviewing people who are on the margins of society. Most people are homeless. And he's asking them, what does peace mean to you? And he's turned it into a business, and he's donating the profits back. He's thriving. I'm learning about these people from you. The way we build a bestseller is not by 2 guys with contrarian opinions writing about a subject. What we do is we engage people, and we let it bubble up from the ground, and then we start spreading the buzz, which is why we're creating the Goodness Barista in November. After the October meeting, we're going to have a 21-minute video podcast of the Good Leadership Breakfast, and we're going to ask you to share it because we need your help in spawning this conversation. We need proof statements about good leaders because that's how we change the world. So let's give it up for Paul Hillen. Thank you. So as we head for home, I'm going to remind you the theme of the day is living generously. Patience was amazingly articulate, using the personal names, first and last name of these people who had a vivid impact on who she was as a child. You have those same names. I'm sure you had those same pictures. I had an amazingly vivid picture of when my dad let me take our boat and my buddies at age 16 to the lake for a day. That was my cab driver moment. If you live generously, you say thank you. You remember those people, you say thank you, and you pass it on. That's what good leaders do. We thrive in a culture of encouragement, and that starts by saying thank you. So what I'm asking you to do today, as you ponder how you're radiating goodness, think about all those people that were the stepping stones on the path to where you're at right now, and just say thank you. Can you do that? Are you ready to radiate goodness today? Okay, let's see you next month when our speaker is Rita Johnson Mills, who's brought to us by the people at United Health Group. She's a fantastic leader. We're going to continue to lift up women leaders. If you're interested in learning more about some of these programs, talk to Carolyn back there, and let's have a great day. Carpe diem.